This episode is made possible by Badlands Pets. As you all know, Mojo, my precious baby, is the reason why I found love in the first place. He made me feel love again. So I would do anything to ensure his health and longevity. And actress Katherine Heigl and I have that in common. She's helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation. And after doing a ton of research, she feels there's one place we can look to improve any dog's health, and that's their food. So fortunately, she found that just by adding a few special superfoods to her dog's food, she saw huge transformations in their health. So she's made a 20-minute video explaining step-by-step how anyone can do the same thing to see incredible changes in their dog's health. I've definitely re-looked at what I'm feeding Mojo and making sure that, hey, he only has one life to live, and I want to make sure it's the best damn life. So if you want to keep your dog healthy and happy, go to badlandsfood.com/dateable and watch Catherine's video right now. Again, that's badlandsfood.com/dateable.
I was so excited to get my shipment from Last Bottle Wines in the mail the other day, full of incredible red wines, all from Napa Valley. I love wine tasting, so having this to my door couldn't be happier. Also, couldn't be more excited that today's episode is brought to you by Last Bottle Wines. If you don't know already, they're a Napa-based online wine shop with a twist. They offer just one handpicked wine per day until it sells out, and they're always at incredible prices. We're talking 30 to 70% off retail. And the best part is that there's no subscriptions, no fees, and no minimum purchase. And I could not be more excited to bring this offer right now because they're having a marathon sale, which is coming up March 28th and 29th. Even better, we're offering Dateable listeners 10% off your first order with code DATEABLE. So if you are a wine lover like me, this is a great time to join. And did I mention that shipping is 100% free? So what are you waiting for? Mark your calendar for March 28th and 29th, or get on it earlier if you want. You can sign up at lastbottlewines.com and use code DATEABLE and find out why Last Bottle is the most fun way to discover and buy amazing wine.
The Dateable podcast features real stories from real people of how they make modern dating work, or not. I'm your host, Yue, former dating coach turned dating insider, if you will. On each episode, you'll hear commentary from my producer, Julie Krafchick, and other surprise co-hosts. This episode of Dateable is brought to you by 500 Brunches. 500 Brunches connects like-minded people with similar interests to meet in real life over brunch. You answer a quick questionnaire about your interests and how you spend your time, and then they'll match you in small groups of 6 to 8 at a brunch spot in San Francisco. Get a free entry into a brunch now by signing up at 500brunches.com and using the code DATEABLE. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show all about modern dating. One of the shows that I've been obsessed with for like the last 20 years, I feel like, is the Bachelor franchise. I started watching Trisha when she was the initial Bachelorette, all the way now to Becca's season. And one of the most standout contestants from Becca's season was this guy named John Graham. Do you guys remember him? Venmo John. I'm sure you all remember him. He lives in San Francisco and he's with us right now. When we found out that we had, I guess, 2 degrees of separation, I knew I had to reach out and see if John is interested in being on our show. But also, Julie and I know a few people who've been wanting to be on The Bachelorette. Yep. Who've applied pretty much every season, who've auditioned and have never gotten on. So we want to know some of your secrets too. Like, what's your hook?
Okay. Yeah. First of all, thanks so much for having me here. Like, I think this is a pretty awesome opportunity to come hang with you guys. And yeah. I've always liked the stories you guys are able to tell through this as someone who is dating in the modern world. So
it's a scary place out there.
Yeah.
And also like,
it really is, especially in San Francisco.
Well, especially in San Francisco, but also reality TV shows really kind of skews our reality, right? I don't know how dating should be, how you fall in love with someone in 3 weeks?
Yeah, it happens super fast.
And then you get engaged, apparently. Okay, how is that supposed to make us feel good about dating? Yeah. So just a little background about John, if you don't follow the show. He's 29 years old. He's been in San Francisco for almost 3 years, so you and I are the same. Originally from Chicago, then New York for 9 years. I think we overlapped in New York. And pretty single but have been taking a dating sabbatical. We got to get to the bottom of this. He was on the most recent season of The Bachelorette. And then he went on to Bachelor in Paradise, which if you don't ever watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, just watch Bachelor in Paradise, okay? It's like a combination of like selling you romance and trash at the same time, but you get really connected and you get really invested in the characters on the show. And John was such a refreshing person to have on the show this season because he's unlike anybody else. I don't know. I don't know if other people have told you that. Everybody else is there. They're kind of like bro-y.
Yeah.
You know, Julie, like, have you seen Bachelor in Paradise?
I have not seen Bachelor in Paradise, but I've seen The Bachelor. Like, yes.
Bro-y of the broiest.
Well, when doing some research, I saw that you were said to be one of the most eligible bachelors on The Bachelor because of just the stereotype of other folks.
Yeah, I think Chris Harrison, he had some nice words to say for me when he was announcing the cast members for Becca's season.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, John's a tech guy. John's involved in Silicon Valley and all this stuff. And so I think people really like that backstory behind it too.
You do have a great backstory. Before we get to what your life was like before The Bachelorette,
okay.
Let's just talk about the show because we
Sure.
want to know, what was the entire experience like, starting with the audition process? How
Sure.
did you even think about being on the show?
Yeah, so it hadn't really crossed my mind to be on the show, but my good friend and his wife, they love the show and they watch every season, all of Paradise, and they have told me for a while, like, you'd be a really good candidate, you should apply. And so I kind of laugh it off, like, yeah, that sounds fun, but it's like, do I really want to be on that? What is my family going to think? Which is what every single applicant thinks.
Interesting.
And then his wife like emailed me and was like, here's the link to apply online. Here's the essay you got to write.
There's an essay?
You got to write an essay. You have to... I physically printed out photos, and then my friend actually did a video interview of me. So he stood behind the camera and would ask questions. And then another buddy like chopped it up into like almost like a little mini Bachelor interview style. And it was standard questions like tell me about yourself. What are you looking for in a partner? What do you do for fun?
Why are you single?
Yeah, why are you single? And so a few weeks later, some of the casting agents messaged me on Instagram because I was smart enough to forget my phone number and email address.
They must have really wanted you on the show.
Application. They're like, hey, do you want to come down to LA for an interview? And they do, the background checks. They do
STD
they do
tests,
medical tests. They do a psychology test. They do a host of things. And you get to meet some of the producers and folks there. And then I think we actually started filming a few weeks later. So my whole process was really fast.
So once you're in, it's like go time.
So mine happened to be super late in the process, but other guys had been applying, or they've been in the pipeline for months or 9 months or so for a while.
Had you watched any of the previous seasons before?
Not really. I've seen a couple episodes here and there.
So you didn't know Becca?
I didn't know Becca. I didn't even know it was going to be Becca until it's announced publicly.
Gotcha.
So they don't tell us either. And then a few days after they announce Becca, they bring us on into LA to basically begin filming. And that whole process, that first night when you come out of the limo, that's all real. Like, I didn't meet any of the other guys until I'm like getting in the limo and I'm like, oh, hey, Joe, nice to meet you. Jordan, hey, I'm John. What's up?
How did you feel about the Venmo John nickname?
Oh, it's fine. I mean, I've got nothing against it. I kind of like it. It's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Give us a background on why your nickname is Venmo John.
Yeah, so I was one of the first employees at Venmo, and I made the iPhone app at Venmo. And like, Venmo's a really big part of me. It's like a baby that I helped grow and help build for a long time. And now I don't work at Venmo anymore, but I think people like that story because I mentioned Venmo once on the show. And people were like, whoa, Venmo, tell me
you
everything.
Google you, it's like Venmo John.
Well, now you're in their ads, so you are Venmo.
Yeah, and so with Venmo, we did some ads in the New York subways, and that was really cool to see. Nice. I didn't even get to see them in person. I don't know when they're being taken down, but I got to see a lot of pictures of them, and we did this really fun photo shoot.
Fun.
So
nice.
That was awesome.
Well, Venmo is a big part of all of us, too.
That is true. That is true.
That's music to my ears.
What's just for someone that isn't as avid watcher as others?
How dare you?
I know. Sorry. What is the biggest difference between Bachelorette or Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise?
Okay, I guess there's similarities and differences. The difference, just the obvious difference, is that there's an even number of men and women for the most part. So there's no agenda of what you have to do. You don't have to go on these group dates. You don't have to be segregated at the mansion for the day. You just like hang out who you want to hang out with and see where there's connections.
Okay, so it's a little more natural.
Yeah, so there's roughly like 10 men and 10 women. They off balance it a little bit, but you go hang out with whoever you want. And if you find a connection with somebody, pursue it. And if like you decide there's no connection, go to somebody else.
Okay.
Or just hang out with your buddies. And so there's like a solid mix of everything.
But there is a rose ceremony where every week they switch off and on. The men have the power to vote for the women.
Okay.
And then the women have power to vote for the men.
Okay.
So people do get kicked off.
So there's still some of that game show.
There's a little bit of
elements, yeah.
gamification. Also, you kind of want to couple off right away. That's
Yeah.
when you know you're safe.
If you haven't found a connection with somebody, then you have no idea if you're going to get a rose at that rose ceremony. So either you can like if I'm like dating somebody, then I can feel pretty confident that she's going to want me there for the next week. If not, then like maybe a friend will be like, hey, I think you're great and I want you to be here. Like that's how I stayed for the first rose ceremony too, is my friend Angela is like, hey, you deserve to be here. And we're awesome friends. I'm like, heck yeah, thank you, Angela.
And we're gonna do a Facebook Live later. I'm gonna share these photos with you later. But I snuck into that resort where you guys filmed Bachelor in Paradise when I was in Puerto Vallarta with my then boyfriend, and he was a big fan too. So we snuck on the resort, pretending that we're gonna go look at some rooms possibly.
Oh.
But I wanted to see what it was really like. First of all, there wasn't much AC around.
There's
all the rooms,
really no AC.
No AC.
Except in some of the like camera interview rooms for the equipment.
It encourages the cast members to be outside the entire
Interesting.
time.
Yeah.
And also you're just like trying to cool off, so you're going into the water a lot too, right?
Oh yeah, you can jump in the water. There's a pool. There's like drinks and cold drinks if you want to go get them, whatever you want. They encourage you to stay very hydrated. They like don't want to Yeah.
And then how scripted versus unscripted are things?
It's not scripted. They don't make you do or say anything. During the interviews while you're on the show, they just want you to open up and talk about your feelings. Because at the end of the day, people come for the drama, but they stay for the love. So the producers are encouraged to find matches in the real world, because you can see like, hey, there's Kevin and Astrid, for example. They are now dating in the real world, and people like that story.
That's true.
Or if you look at Chris and Crystal, they survived from Bachelor in Paradise, and they're now engaged, and they're just having.
You have
like,
to watch the show.
They're just like
I don't know how that
an
even
amazing,
happened.
phenomenal
That's good to
couple that you
know.
just wouldn't find. And so the producers want you to open up and like see where there may be feelings for other people, and just like talk about it. And so they don't script anything, they don't make you do anything, but they might encourage you to like go talk to somebody and hash out what might be there.
Well, what I really enjoy about A Bachelor in Paradise is that it shows you a different side of the contestants, because for The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, you only see kind of like 2 seconds of what someone's about, because they have to profile all the contestants.
That's right.
So all the cast members on Bachelor in Paradise, you get to see a different side of them. And they actually bring on some villains from the previous seasons, and they become these like softies or, romantic at heart. And you don't really see that side of them, which is a good segue into John, because I felt like you were completely different on Bachelor in Paradise. And you were on The Bachelorette. Okay. On The Bachelorette, Becca kept saying, John's very nice. He's very
that's
nice.
the worst compliment you can ever get is someone who's nice.
We actually just did an episode on the nice guy.
I listened to it. Yeah.
You don't ever want to be labeled as a nice guy, but everyone's
you never want to be in the nice guy.
John's very nice. There was like this very athletic competition kind of thing. It was like you guys had to be very masculine.
The lumberjack.
The lumberjack, yes. And everyone was surprised that John was able to really challenge some of the other bros in some of in the competition, especially Becca, because she's like, I didn't see this coming at all. So you started to come out of your shell, but then before you could fully come out of your shell, you were eliminated.
Yeah.
After 5 episodes.
I remember having some of my interviews with the producers about this too, and I was like, I've come in so intimidated. I'm looking around and I see everybody. I was like, is anyone not in the NFL here?
That's true. That is a season of a bunch of football players.
And like everyone's huge. I was like truly one of the shortest, like least muscular guys on Becca's season. I'm like, dang, these guys are some freak athletes. But I'm here, what the hell? Let me go like try stuff and put myself out there. And that's when I really opened up among the other guys. That's when I opened up with Becca. But by then she had built a much stronger connection with the other guys. And so she ended up choosing them. And with Becca too, I felt like we had a better friendship vibe anyway. So I remember like you could definitely have some feelings of jealousy when you see Becca going on some other dates. Like guys would come back from a date and be like, yo, how was your date, man? Like, tell me all about it. Because I never felt like Becca was the person for me.
Okay.
And so I never had those feelings of jealousy because like it didn't bother me to like see her because I felt like we were like better as friends anyway.
So no hard feelings to kind of...
Absolutely not. And
but
like,
it's interesting you say that about the physicality of the other men because you are tall and you are extremely buff. But okay, if you don't know what John looks like, you need to Google some topless photos of him right now. Okay, whoever you are, just go on the internet right now. But it's interesting that you had these insecurities even though you are in top shape and you are tall.
Of course. I think I also probably carried with me some insecurities that I grew up with.
Okay,
and so
let's talk
I was,
about that.
yeah.
Pre-Bachelor.
So like, I used to be super chubby and was picked on as a kid. And I was embarrassed. I'm half Chinese. And I was embarrassed about sort of my background because it's like a pretty white neighborhood where I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. And I would like just always play the comparison game. And when, you know, as a kid, you're growing up, all you want to do is like be cool and fit in. And I felt like I couldn't fit in. And so this was just like jogging a bunch of those memories back that I felt like as a kid. And I know I'm like in fine shape now. I know I'm healthy and everything's like, you know, on paper doing just fine for me, but no one ever said anything to me. No one ever like put me down for it. But like I had a bunch of those insecurities coming in, which is part of what made me so quiet on The Bachelorette.
Interesting.
But then I finally was like, you know, fuck it, I'm here.
Yeah.
And then I got eliminated. I was like, well, all right, well, maybe I can have some redemption for Paradise. And so I told Chris Harrison too, I remember like I shook his hand. I'm like, yeah, I just want to put myself out there. I really want to go meet everybody with no inhibitions and see what's there. So I remember going to like basically using all of my free time to go like chat with the women, not with any expectations of what could happen, but just like, let me really get to know you and see what's there. And some of the guys were timid. Some of the guys were just like trying to get drinks or hang by the pool or chill with the other guys. And I'm like, no, I'm like, I want to go meet everybody. Like I'm on the beach. Like this doesn't happen. You can't recreate this on your own.
Transformation was incredible. I mean, just some of the reality TV websites that would, you know, talk about each episode, be like, where the hell did John come from?
Well,
He went
warming
from,
up.
It's
you know?
warming.
Yeah.
You warmed up on The Bachelorette and on Bachelor in Paradise. You were like, I'm here for a reason. I'm going to talk to all these girls and I'm going to kiss all of them. You were the kissing bandit on the show.
Oh.
And all the women was so interesting as they do like the, you know, the post-date interviews. And all the women were like, I didn't know what to expect of John going into this, but I really like him. He's pretty aggressive.
So that's a good segue.
I don't know if I say aggressive.
That's a good segue to what your dating life was like before the shows.
Sure. So dating before the show, when I moved to San Francisco, I was using some dating apps like The League or Bumble or whatever. And with like moderate success, like I'd be able to get a date here or there. And it was fine, but I never felt like I really found like my person. I was in a short relationship beginning of 2016 for a few months. And I was like, man, this is awesome. This was like, I feel like it was really going in the right direction. And then it ended super abruptly. And I was like, I was pretty bummed about it, to be honest. Like I felt like I was pretty excited about it, but we were just on very different levels.
How long did that last for?
Not that long, like in the realm of like months.
Okay, but still, like significant months for you.
For me, like I got pretty into it pretty quickly, and I don't think she was there.
Gotcha.
And I kind of retreated away from dating after that. And I remember talking with some friends and talking with my family, and I'm like, I just don't feel like my head is there. I don't even feel like my heart's there, or like trying to meet new people. So I like super retreated away from trying to meet anybody. And I just wanted to spend time with myself and focus on myself. And I remember like there are things that I've always wanted to do. And I feel like with free time, I could finally do it. So like I went on Amazon Prime and I bought the cheapest guitar that I could find because I've always wanted to learn how to play guitar. And so I did that. And I've like been playing guitar pretty regularly since. And
good for you.
Like I joined a volleyball team because I felt like I just needed more extracurriculars, and I played in high school and college. A third thing I did was like, because I had more free time now, I was like, I want to go like see old people because I don't know, like my 4 grandparents passed away within the past few years, and I was like, I don't know, it's kind of weird to say, but I was like, I feel like I missed that a little bit in my life. And so I found this volunteering organization where I could just
Little
like
Brothers.
yeah,
term,
Little
right?
Brothers. friends of the elderly, and I got matched with this awesome woman, Leah, and so I just hang out with her on weekends. And so I took her to see Blue Angels yesterday, and it was so fun.
Cute.
So this was all happening pre.
This was way before Bachelorette, before Bachelorette ever was a thing. I was like, I just want to like focus on myself, and like I wasn't trying to go on dates, and I almost had to like rebuild myself and find myself before I could be able to bring myself to a relationship. And so by the time I felt like I was really there to be in a relationship again, my friends were like really encouraging me to be on The Bachelorette. And at this point I was like,
why not?
Yeah, what the hell? Like, I've got nothing to lose. Like, yeah, I'm a little nervous. My parents definitely don't want me to do this.
I can't imagine what my Asian parents would say.
If you mentioned your like confidence younger was not so great because you were different and chubbier as a child. How was it at this point of your life?
Yeah, now it's totally different. I feel pretty confident going to chat with anybody. A big thing is not really caring what people think anymore.
Yeah.
And I would always try to like please everybody and always try to like do the right thing. And it ended up honestly trying to be like that nice guy mentality, like referencing that last podcast you had. I wasn't doing things for myself back then. I was doing them for what I thought other people might want. And really like no one's happy because you can't like predict what people always want.
Right. So wait, so this was before the show.
And this was before. This was like years ago.
Okay.
When I like in college I basically started running a bunch. And that was like a good segue into me building more self-confidence and getting in better shape. Since then, I've still run pretty regularly. I work out daily. I think that was a good segue into like where I am today, which is like, now I feel much healthier. Now I feel much more confident, and I care very little about what people think now. And really not caring is like great. Honestly, like especially in this world of social media where now I think there's a little bit more people wanting to just see what my life is like. And there's elements of that being incredibly exciting, and having followers and people commenting and views and engagement is like this really exciting thing, and random people DMing you and telling you they support you is awesome. But then there's this flip side where
the haters.
There's negativity. Like I've read Reddit articles about how my voice sucks or how I'm a total
That's
player.
when you know you made it though. People are bashing you on Reddit.
Like, or like if they're like, John's a player, like he's dating Chelsea, he's like trying to do all this stuff, and he's really just a fuckboy. And I'm like, y'all don't even know me
at all.
And so like I actually felt down for a while. And I remember like calling my mom, and I was just like, like I really thought I was above this, but like it's actually kind of affecting me. And she was just like listening and being a great mother. But now I just like I've stopped reading those articles now because like I want to get back to not caring what people think. And so like I just want to like do what makes me happy. I want to like spend time with the people that make me happy, and I want to post things about like me like being happier, because like being down is not a fun place to be.
It's not productive.
So like I like let myself kind of feel shitty for a few days, and I was like, the social media is really getting to me. And then now I'm like, I don't care.
So when you went on the show, do the producers warn you that this would happen?
A little bit. I think it's probably different for everybody. Not everybody gets like a huge social media following afterwards. Some people get a huge following afterwards. It can change people in different ways. It's also not just like a psychological thing that it can change. It's also like a business thing that people could change. So it's not just me being down mentally, it's me being down like my business is not doing well. If like people use this as a platform to make money, it's no longer like, oh, people are hating on me. And it's just like I can take that mentally. It's like people hate on me, they don't follow me, and now my business is suffering because I don't have the engagement that I would need to get like an endorsement or deal. Like luckily I'm a programmer and I still have my job. Like I'm not going to quit my job anytime soon. But like I still like if there's like an interesting brand that I like really want to work with, then you know we can chat about potential deals, but that's just like on the side. Like I still stay grounded.
Your livelihood isn't.
I still stay grounded with my job.
But that's sort of the evolution of reality TV. When Real World started back in the day, people didn't know what the effects of reality TV would be. People thought it was just going to be a fun experience to go on TV. Nowadays, you have people going on wanting those Instagram endorsements, wanting to be famous, and you weren't that. And it's actually, you're kind of in the minority. Because you went on looking just for a different experience. You were open to whatever. So you're almost like the old school reality TV cast members.
Has there been any positive sides of newfound stardom, I guess?
Absolutely. Like, I think now one is like I could probably have a better chance of like messaging someone and they're going to reply.
On like a dating app or something?
Like, not so much through a dating app. Like, so the example I'm thinking of, did you guys see the movie Crazy Rich Asians?
Yeah, of course.
That like spoke to my
3
soul.
3 times.
That was like the most amazing movie. I cried 10 times.
She did too.
Laughing hysterically through it. And I wanted to get a message out to the director, John Chu, and like through like a degree of connection, like I was able to send like, hey man, congrats, like
that's amazing.
This is awesome. And so like he like followed me on Twitter, and I was like, oh my god, John Chu followed me. And so,
that's amazing.
Because people like made like some comparisons between me because of the tech thing and then the movie Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
What about dating apps though?
Dating
you
apps?
on them currently?
I'm not on dating apps
Okay.
currently.
He's on a sabbatical.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, not so much a full sabbatical. And there's like, I guess I'm halfway in between where I'm like trying to, like, I'm not going to use dating apps right now.
Okay.
Like, but I want to make sure that I like put the time into work that I like need to so that I can still be very grounded. And there's a little bit of me that now thinks that my partner that I'm going to eventually end up with is like someone who I've been like friends with for a while. Because now someone that I might meet, I like have a little, I like almost question their intentions.
Yes.
Like I've met up with someone like through like random like messaging. There was like a part of me that was like, do you like me or do you like the idea of me?
I was gonna ask you that, like if there was a side of that. Or, like, are you getting like, a lot of people reaching out being like, I want to go on dates or anything?
Yeah,
like
people
that?
like even like moms reach out to me and they're like, please date my daughter. She doesn't know I'm doing this. Here's pictures of her. We're at the Grand Canyon. Here's more pictures.
She doesn't know. Oh my god.
And like
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that is so funny.
So
I could totally get not trusting intentions in some of this situations.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like someone I've just like known for a while and been able to like build some like common trust with, who I'm like a friend with, and then that'll transition into something potentially more. And it's like, I don't know, it's like kind of fun to like see that like that tension build up over some time and like, hey, like we like each other, let's potentially see what's there.
Yeah.
That actually parallels your whole experience on The Bachelorette into Bachelor in Paradise, because Julie made this really great point earlier when we were talking. She said, you know, you were just getting warmed up on The Bachelorette and Becca wasn't able to see all of who you are, because it really parallels modern dating too. If you meet someone online, you only have one or two dates to get to know them, and some people need more than that because you're so multifaceted.
For sure.
Totally.
It takes you a while to kind of open up. So
absolutely.
You didn't get that time with Becca. But on Bachelor in Paradise, you were like, I am warmed up right now. I'm like, oh, let's
super
do it.
warm. I'm like, baby, let's go. Fire it up.
Let's do this.
And also, dating through the shows is like reverse dating. So you show up and you don't have that much time with the people, so you have to really get to the deep stuff first.
Yeah.
Whereas dating in the real world, you like go on dates and you're like, what do you do for work?
Yeah,
like, what's your favorite color? Where are you from? Like, and then later on, you might get to like, what are you looking for in a family? Like, where do you want to live? Where do you see your career going?
Yep.
But on The Bachelorette and on Paradise, you sort of reverse it because you don't have that much time.
That's true.
So you have to get to the deep stuff.
With knowing that, what would you do to apply that to like dating nowadays outside of the show?
It's time to take a quick break so we can tell you about our current sponsor, Songfinch. Songfinch brings your stories and memories to life through one-of-a-kind radio-quality songs, with personalized songs starting at $99 and delivered within a week. Julie and I had so much fun creating a song through Songfinch. We decided to create a song for two of our friends and past guests, Kate and Boris, the couple that met on J-Day, remember them? So there were two options to choose from. You can either build from an existing foundation or start from scratch. So we opted for the second option, to have a completely personalized song. We answered a couple questions with some background info and included some of our favorite memories. And then Songfinch handpicked a professional musician to write and record a completely original song from what we wrote. And it is so good. It's hilarious, but also very touching at the same time. I cannot wait to share it with Kate and Boris. Stay tuned to hear what they think of the song. Now, for Dateable listeners only, you can use the promo code DATEABLE for $20 off your personalized song from scratch. So visit songfinch.com and enter the code DATEABLE at checkout. Now, back to the show.
What would you do to apply that to like dating nowadays outside of the show?
I think what I actually prefer is that low touch style where you can just hang out and not worry about the deep stuff first. There's like, I still have a little bit of like fear of jumping into something too quickly because of my like last relationship in SF. I feel like I jumped in way too fast and then it like all got pulled out from under me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
I'm like wary of doing that. I also feel like I just emotionally like opened up my whole personal life publicly,
Mhm.
and I'm like a little weary of doing that again now. I'm more looking for like hanging out with people and having a really good time, like at a friendship level.
Mhm.
And if
Yeah.
that ends up being something more like, hey,
Yeah.
let's talk about it. But
Yeah.
I actually like the more like traditional dating style than the show dating style from a
Yeah.
personal
Instead
perspective.
Instead of going in and being like, how many kids do you want?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, well-
So it's basically like showed you just
Yeah.
to move at a slower, more natural
Yeah,
pace.
I will say though, now that I've been on The Bachelorette and Paradise, in weird ways, that process works for some people so well.
I
Yeah.
know. Why
Some
is
people
that?
just
I
want
don't
to put it
know.
all out there. Right?
Yeah.
Why is that? And
Yeah.
but then it doesn't work for others. So what is it? Is it just a personality thing? Is it just
It might be a personality thing. It's a time.
personality.
It's a timing thing for sure. Like, look at Chris and Crystal. I think they're both like 30 or 31.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we're not trying to like waste time. We like each other a lot. Let's see what happens. If it doesn't
Right.
work out, let's just end and try again with some other people. Like,
right.
or Kevin and Astrid.
They were both sort of villains and kind of douchebags to other people. But somehow when they got together, they
They
were
found
like
each
really
other.
mushy and like
Yeah.
nice with
They
each
bring
other.
the best out of each
Yeah.
other,
Yeah.
and they're like, I don't know. In person, both Chris and Crystal, even before they started dating, I thought were wonderful people.
Really?
Like on the show, you only see little snippets of
yeah,
them.
Right.
And,
exactly.
like they can definitely show the parts where they're like being a little bit crazy.
Right.
And like, don't get me wrong, Chris has his crazy sides. I'd happily tell that to him to
Yep.
his face too.
Okay, okay.
He knows that.
But Crystal seems a little.
Crystal was
psycho.
always awesome. She is just so generous, so kind.
Interesting.
And Chris too, like he's a super big goofy guy, but he has his elements of being crazy. But they were like a wonderful match together.
So reality TV show isn't fake or scripted per se, but they are only capturing certain moments so people make assumptions of a whole person. Is that
Yeah,
accurate?
it's pretty hard to like everyone's so multidimensional. How
Yeah.
can you
Right.
show someone's entire character in 30 minutes of
Exactly.
airtime? You
And they
just can't.
have to put you in a category somehow.
Right.
You have
Right.
to be the psycho girl. You have to
Right.
be the desperate girl. They have to give you a label pretty quick. And also, I think as soon as the cameras turn on, people act differently.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Totally.
Totally.
It's like they become a character or a
Yep.
caricature of what they
It
think
makes
they should
me
be.
think of like social media. It's like
Yeah.
I totally emphasize social media, but like people are just putting one facet of their life on display.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually they're kind of not consciously, but trying to put some like caricature out there.
For
Like,
sure.
I'm the party person, or like, I don't know what it is, but it feels like it kind of could go more of an amplified version.
Yeah. Well, see, as someone who's been in the entertainment industry for over a decade now, I can tell you guys, I have many producer friends who are in reality TV, and they say it's not so much scripted, but they know how to ask the right questions.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
They're great at their jobs.
They're
Yeah.
really great at their jobs.
That makes
it's
sense.
like, hey, John, we heard Becca say this about you. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Oh, why did you have to bring that up? But okay, yeah, to open up a can of worms.
Okay.
Yeah. So they know how to ask the right questions. So it almost seems a little scripted, but it's not.
So was there any other skills or anything else you learned from the show that you could apply to like dating and relationships
Yeah.
moving forward?
I think a big moment for me was just like really trying to not care what people think.
Mm-hmm.
And so I keep coming back to that because that was my biggest learning moment.
Mm.
And when I was like going on dates before the Bachelorette, I would always try to like this is like the one pager of my resume that I want you to know about me.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
this is like if you leave, like I want you to tell your friends XYZ about me and like
Yeah.
think I'm great. And then now I'm just like much more vocal about things that I want and things that I don't want and things that I need from like life or from a relationship.
You
And
have
so-
opinions.
Yeah, I want to like be vocal about my opinions, and because like if you're not, then you're just always gonna be like trying to please other people and be like a super facade version of yourself.
Yeah, it's like what we were talking about with Tripp's episode, the nice guy. The nice guy is a people pleaser.
Yep.
He's neutral about everything, and he just
Yeah.
wants everyone to be happy all the time, but totally not memorable at all.
Not at all, and like you want to be polarizing in some
Yep.
ways, and you
Mm.
want to have opinions because that's going to attract people that either connect with your opinion
Right.
or don't. And if they don't
Mhm.
connect with your opinion, then you probably don't want to like
Right.
be a partner with them anyway.
But John, I think some people would say, I want to have strong opinions, but I don't know how to form these opinions? Because a lot of people feel very neutral about a lot of things.
Right.
What are some things that helped you form your opinions and have distinct perspectives?
I think I've been much better about being able to talk about my past than I have been.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to talk about and articulate your past can really help you give opinions about what you want your future to be. For example, I knew that I grew up with some tough times when I felt like my parents were just like having really difficult discussions, and they're amazing and they love each other and they're still together. But there was just some tough times as a kid where like I didn't really know what was going on. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I was just like kind of balling myself up and not wanting to like hear anything or be a part of it. Or I blame myself for like, I must be a bad kid if my parents are fighting. Mm-hmm. And I want to have opinions about what it's like to be a father someday. And I want to carry those into a time when I'm going to like be a partner with somebody and I'm going to be a father. And so I think being able to like at least talk about your past and understand it and articulate like how you feel about it is probably the first step into forming opinions about how you feel about something.
That takes a lot of self-reflection and possibly therapy.
I also am a firm advocate for therapy. I think everyone should do it. Yeah. This is almost therapeutic too.
Therapeutic.
Yeah.
Let's talk about my past.
Get around the mic.
I do want to know a little bit about your identity. So you're half Chinese, half...
I'm half Chinese, just half generic white. I just did 23andMe. I'm like,
you did? Okay. We can wait to find out.
Almost exactly half Chinese and like mostly like British, Scottish, white.
Got it. Okay. And your mother's Chinese?
Yeah, my mother's Chinese.
Okay. So growing up, how were you perceived? And then how did you identify yourself culturally?
Yeah. How was I perceived is hard to answer because I'd have to like put myself in other people's shoes and I don't always know what they're thinking. But the way I thought I was perceived was like the, slightly chubby kid who's probably really nerdy and academically doing well and didn't have that many friends. I think the part that was tough for me was like I would look at the kids that were quote unquote popular because they were like good at basketball or they played football. And I was like, well, I'm not like that.
That's American culture.
Yeah, American, like the homecoming king is like the cool popular guy.
Yeah, of course. The quarterback, yeah.
And so when I would look around, the popular kids were never Asian, especially Asian males. I think there's probably some stigma where like Asian males feel like, or at least this is how I felt, like if you're an Asian male, it might be harder if you're interested in white women to be able to find a white woman that's interested in Asian males because they're not traditionally like the popular, culturally attractive group that gets celebrated in the media as much. Mm-hmm. So I felt like I was just another one of the Asian guys who's like fit into this paradigm where I'm also attracted to white women too. Mm-hmm. And so like how could I possibly compete with these, white super athletic guys?
Interesting.
So even though you were half white,
even though I'm half white,
focusing on the difference.
Yeah. No one ever like would make fun of me per se for being Asian. I got like definitely some comments. One of the funniest one I got was like, "Hey John, like, are you Asian or are you Chinese?"
Oh God!
It's like, wow. It's like, well, it's technically not, I'm not like offended by it. I'm more just but the hard part for me was like I would probably identify myself more with just like the less popular crowd. I don't know if it was a result of being Asian or if it was a result of being chubby or just like trying to be a quote nice guy. And people don't respond well to just like you being super timid and being really insecure. They're like, yo, grow up, man. Like, we're like honestly, most people are so involved with themselves, they don't have time to care about you. So if you're like feeling insecure, they probably won't even notice. So it's better to not care what they think because they really don't care what you think anyway.
Do you ever get this, and this might be a little controversial, but I feel like Asian men are having a moment right now because of Crazy Rich Asians and all the publicity and media around it. But a lot of my Asian friends would see someone like you or of mixed, like Henry Golding, and say, we don't identify with him because he's still half. He doesn't know what it's like to struggle as a 100% Asian male.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some folks that think that out there. I felt like there were times where I couldn't identify fully with like an Asian crowd because I'm half. Or I also felt like I couldn't identify with a fully white crowd because I'm half.
Yeah.
And so like there's always a soft spot in my heart for halfies because I can't identify with them more easily.
Yes.
And I don't know, it's one of those things where kids, they just like want to fit in. And wherever they can find comfort very quickly, I don't know, a bunch of people have come up to me, Asian men, who are just like, "Oh, John, you were awesome. Like, I'm so glad you are Asian because it like makes me like so excited for you." And one guy even said it gives him hope.
It gives him hope.
Yeah, and I thought that was funny. So like, yeah, maybe there's some folks out there that don't think that I count as Asian, and like whatever. Honestly, I don't like care.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's just I'm half Asian. That's what I am. You're fully Chinese. You're fully white. Like I don't care. Like it is what it is.
So what are you looking for in a partner?
I've been doing some soul searching on this more recently. What I like is when people keep me grounded.
Okay.
And I know for someone like in my shoes, like I definitely could have that aspect where like, oh, he's got a verified check mark on Instagram, or he's got X number of followers, or like on paper he's awesome. He's got this great job behind him. I feel sometimes when I can like be in my head about it and have like a little bit of an ego, and I need someone to be like, "Yo, John, get over yourself. You're really not that great." I'm like, you're right. I'm not that cool. Okay, sorry about that.
So no extreme fans.
Yeah. So I want someone that's definitely keeping me grounded. Another thing for me is I get in my head about things regarding just sort of like indecision. And the hard part there is it's not that I know what I want always, or I don't know what I want. It's sometimes I'm just like, I fall into that trap of like me trying to please everybody, and sometimes saying things that might hurt people. Like I'll try to avoid. And it's better when sometimes you just got to rip that Band-Aid and say it. And so I appreciate when people can have those really tough conversations with me, and it feels just much more natural. I'm not being judged. I can like talk about anything. And that's why I feel like there's a bit where it's easier to be friends with the person first, because you can have those difficult conversations without the behind the scenes thoughts that like, how might this affect my relationship with you?
In the
And
future.
so if you can have some of those test runs of those difficult conversations, you'll know what it might be like in the relationship if that could happen.
It sounds like you need someone who knows you to the core and who's seen the evolution of how you've changed.
I think that would help, yeah.
So have you gone back through your Rolodex of like all the females in your life in the last 10 years? You do, maybe.
Not as much. I mean, a big part of what the show teaches you is to have an open mind. So I'm not saying like they necessarily have to be someone that I've known since like kindergarten, but like, you could meet someone down the road. You could maybe someone that you haven't known very well, but like now you've become like in a circle of friends together. So I'm not ruling anything out right now. I'm just like trying to like stay focused at work. I'm trying to stay focused and make sure I'm there with my friends and my family. Yeah. And then if like think relationships are exciting and I'm very curious about them, then I want to spend time with somebody. But I'm sort of like almost too emotionally like drained to be able to fully commit into something, which is why I'm almost like slowly tiptoeing into whatever could happen.
So that's a great segue for some takeaways.
So many segues today.
So many segues. But Yue, do you want to start with some of your takeaways?
Yeah, I think one is, I say this a lot, but I think this is another great takeaway just to keep repeating, which is we're all works in progress.
Yes.
And whenever we meet other people, we have to know we're meeting them at a moment in their life. And they may be totally different the next day or the next month or next week. We have to forgive each other for kind of the changes we're going through, but also embrace where we are in this journey. So it's wonderful to hear John's journey because it's all documented on TV, but it's also very authentic. And when you own your journey and know that you're a work in progress, it helps you stay grounded to know that, hey, I'm still working on myself. This is not the end deal here. I'm still working on myself, but I'm also looking for someone who's working on themselves too, and who's in this evolution of going towards a better person, right? Yeah. Going to be a better person.
I do really like that point though, that everyone's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like everyone thinks like when I get there, but you'll like never get there. You'll just, it's like always a step in the right direction.
Totally.
And once you do feel like you've gotten there, then you've stopped growing as a person.
Yeah.
Totally.
What's the fun in that, right?
Yeah.
I think the second takeaway I have is when we talk about dating and focusing on your dating life, it doesn't have to be about dating other people. I think something you said earlier was I took a step back and started focusing on myself. I bought a guitar. I joined a volleyball league. That's dating yourself. You're taking yourself on these dates where you have mutual interest, right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about focusing on our love lives and our dating lives, don't think about it as you're trying to find a partner.
Right.
You got to be okay dating yourself
Or
first.
getting comfortable
Yeah.
with yourself. Totally.
Yeah, I really wanted to love myself before I could be in a relationship again. And especially now I've learned like I like value personal time.
Yeah.
Like I just want to like hang out with myself, honestly. I want to like play guitar or like honestly sometimes just like play video games.
That's
and so,
okay.
And so like I know that I need alone time, and like a partner that respects that and wants that too would it's like a big plus for me.
Awesome.
And how much do you love yourself right now?
Yeah, now I'm like
Head
on
over
cloud
heels.
9 on myself.
Head over heels in love with
It's
myself.
still a work in progress, though. There are times when I feel pretty down about myself. I'm like,
Well,
you
you're
could
human,
you could be
so-
cooler, John.
You're human. I think my biggest takeaways is there's a difference between winning and success. And I think technically on the show, you did not win, right? You did not move on. What's her name? Becca.
Whatever her name is.
Becca did not choose you, but you made a point that one was, first of all, you felt like there was more of a friendship with Becca. And a lot of men probably would have been like, I want to win. I want to make sure no matter what. And I think this ties back to dating that not everyone you meet is going to be a fit.
Exactly.
And it's not winning to get to the next date. Like if it's just not a fit, it's not a fit. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think success came in the fact that you got to know yourself as a person. When you went to Bachelor in Paradise, you were a lot more comfortable. You were able to shake some of the insecurities against all the football type macho men.
Yeah.
So I think there is definitely a difference in not just looking at the immediate outcome.
Yeah. Know what your end goal is. Your end goal is not to win someone over. That's a really hard
Win
goal.
the reality TV show.
Reality TV show. Your end goal is to learn about yourself, learn about the other person, and then hopefully know what you're looking for. That's the end goal. So I'm really glad that you stayed grounded through that whole situation and you were truthful to yourself, in your feelings.
Totally.
That's a really good takeaway.
Yeah.
Anything else that you have, John, either from this discussion or just from the whole experience?
Yeah, any takeaways? A big thing is like not to worry about what people think.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to be able to please everybody.
You just can't.
And if you go down that path, you're probably just going to like fail.
Yeah.
And just the more you can do things for yourself, the more you'll make yourself happier. And I don't know, that's like a sort of this thing that I've been trying to do now, was just like really make sure that this where I spend my time is some like with the people I want to be with, or like doing the things that I want to do. And that's like through work, that's with friends, that's with my family too. And so like being very judicious about like where I want to be spending my time, I think has been much better for me.
And I think it really tests you when you are a reality TV
Yeah.
show and you see
if you
the
can
Reddit comments and
survive
all that. Yep.
reality TV, you can pretty much survive anything. One of the questions you asked in the beginning, Julie, was what are some of the positives that came out of this experience?
Oh, yeah.
I would say one of the positives for you is that now you have a platform. You can use this platform to promote some of your philosophies, some of your mindsets. And I think it's great that you've come on our show to talk about some of that. And we encourage you to keep doing that because this is a great platform for you to do that on. I want to wrap this up, but usually what we do with our guests is we say, well, if anybody wants to meet this guest or wants to be set up, let us know and we'll, make something happen. But I think in John's situation,
He's like, don't do that.
if you know John for a few years or 10, if you're like a childhood friend and you just happen to be single and you know who he
Or if you've
is.
never seen The Bachelorette in your life.
If you meet me naturally in person, I think that's just like a much better,
It's a better way
route
to go.
It really is. But if you just want to pop up from the past somehow, just slip into his DMs, okay? You don't need to go through us. You can just find him on Instagram. That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much, John, for doing this.
thank
We're going to do a
you.
Facebook Live now, so you're not done.
Let's do it. I'm excited for
I'm
that.
so excited for this. We have so many questions about the shows themselves.
Sure.
For anybody who's listening to this who would like to be a guest on our show, have you been on a reality TV show, a dating show? We love to hear from you. We actually do know quite a few other Bachelor family alums who live in San Francisco, so we love to hear from you as well. On that note, stay dateable.
Your action item for this week is to stop looking at dating as a reality TV competition where you're trying to win someone's rose. At the end of the day, it's all about compatibility. Are you suitable for each other? So next time you're trying to get him or her to like you back, step back and think, do I think we're compatible together? Does that motivate me to get to know this person more? And then you'll stop thinking about winning this race or winning this competition. Now it's more about finding the right partner. This episode of Dateable is brought to you by 500 Brunches. 500 Brunches connects like-minded people with similar interests to meet in real life over brunch. You answer a quick questionnaire about your interests and how you spend your time, and then they'll match you in small groups of 6 to 8 at a brunch spot in San Francisco. Get a free entry into a brunch now by signing up at 500brunches.com and using the code DATEABLE. If you didn't know already, we have a revamped website with articles, videos, and content all about modern dating. You can also find our premium Why series, where we dissect, analyze, and offer solutions to some of the most common dating conundrums. We've had some great feedback about how actionable these episodes are, so check them out on our website or iTunes Music. Also, visit the site today to see the latest about coaching, where we connect you with Dateable-approved experts to help with everything from dating profile reviews, coaching, and even gathering real feedback about your dating style in a personalized and affordable way. To connect with us, visit dateablepodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all under Dateable Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and auto-download the podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast player so you never miss an episode.